Okay, so welcome everybody to our Xero client training session. For those of you who don't know me, my name's James and I'll be conducting the session today. There we go, we're already there. All right, so today's session will cover a couple of things: why we partnered with Xero as an accounting firm, give you a tour of Xero, run you through setting up Xero, using it on a day-to-day basis, a quick run through of how to do the maths from Xero, Xero payroll as well for those who need it, and then where we'll go from here after today's session. So we'll jump right in. So in regards to us partnering with Xero, I first came across Xero in about February last year and started sort of investigating the cloud and all that sort of stuff. And basically, I was able to do my quarterly BAS for the firm in here. It used to take me about 5 hours in Mile to do, and it took me about 20 minutes in Xero. And I was sold. That was it. That's all I needed to know, is that the time saving was phenomenal just on its own. So I started investigating a bit further into what Xero was doing in the bookkeeping and accounting space, and the rest, as I say, is history as to where we are now. So we're certified partners, and we're doing a lot of beta testing with Xero. So we actually, because I'm pretty vocal in how things should be done and telling them they should be doing this thing and that thing, they come for feedback. They're a really good organisation like that, so they like to listen. And so we're on their testing for their new tax module, we're on the testing for their practice management module, we're on the testing for their reporting module. So I'm always in contact with the head developers up there. And so they listen, which is really good, as opposed to Mild that, you fall on deaf ears when you speak to those guys. And that's why they have regular updates. So there's always updates to the program every 6 weeks, major updates as well, but that doesn't impact on the people using it because it's all live and in the cloud. So the benefits for our clients is it's web-based, so you can access it anywhere. I just got an email last night from Castle Hill Ella Rouge, who we look after, and I've been trying to get on it for about 6 months, and she's been busy and the like, and she finally set it up. She watched the video of last time's training. She couldn't come in. Set it up herself, ran her payroll, did her bank rec, and she just goes, I should have done this 12 years ago. And thanked me for it and said it's great. And then she's going to recommend it to all the Ella Rouge franchisees and even the Ella Rouge owned ones. So that was pretty cool. And the benefit being, it's web-based and you can access it anywhere, and you just have more control. It's real-time data. So it's all live bank feeds coming in. So even if you don't get around to doing the accounts for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you're still seeing what your bank balance is. You're still seeing the flows of money come in and all that. So it's not waiting to MYOB or QuickBooks or another accounting program is updated, actually see where we're at. The other big thing is the Xero ecosystem. So there is Xero as the main general ledger, accounts payable, accounts receivable, payroll function. But the ecosystem is starting to expand, and there's about 125 to 150 add-on partners covering all sorts of things like inventory systems, point of sale systems, project management systems, tradie type applications where they can be time billing and invoicing on the job, advanced reporting and KPI and dashboards and all these sorts of things that we also promote and install in clients' premises. And again, they're all web-based. So the beauty of that is that they all talk to one another seamlessly in the cloud, and as a result, you end up morning, Michelin. You end up as a result being able to get great economies of scale, I guess, in regards to utilising cloud-based technology to run your business. So yeah, so in terms of that ecosystem, it's great. As I said, they all talk to one another, and we've done some recent ones with actually the GQ Fashion Designer of the Year, Brent Wilson. He engaged us about 2 months ago to integrate his Xero with a point of sale system in a website, which is fantastic. I've just installed an inventory system in a radiator importer business that my brother works for. So they've got Xero and this Pro Import Unleashed. And the benefit is that, as an example, is that the actual business here in Australia owns a manufacturing plant in China. So the Chinese guys are actually able to see what inventory, because it's web-based, what inventory is going low, even before they've even made the orders. So they're already building it before they've even ordered it, and they're generating all the purchase orders overseas. So the scalability is great as well. So not everyone needs that. Xero can sometimes be just everything that they need. But the scalability is there for all sorts of businesses. And I guess then the reason why we've done it is, the benefits for us is twofold. One, we've got access to our clients' data in the cloud, and we're moving as a firm to entirely cloud-based applications. Two, we can see everything that's going on in your business on a daily basis, literally. So we can be making sure that for clients that are running payrolls and debtors and creditors that they're getting it right. So coming into the year, it's not a hassle. It's easier to fix mistakes up, and also be giving proactive advice. So once we get over the integration of Xero and you using it in your business on a daily basis, it gives us the ability to be able to come back to you with more advice-based services as opposed to bookkeeping compliance. So that's why we've decided to go with Xero. So you'll also get a copy of this PowerPoint in soft copy, and this actually has the links to the Xero program and to the so where you see a link here, it'll take you to the right spot. So give you a bit of a tour. So when you come into Xero, this is the main screen. Have a look at this video. Actually, it's quite interesting how it all is. But when you log in, go in. So I know Michelin, you've had a login, and we've got to clear up one of your Xeros, but I don't think, Jenny, you obviously don't. At least you haven't logged into Xero, have you? We invited, oh, you have? We invited you in. Oh, you've had a go at everything. Okay, great. So these are obviously all our clients at the moment that are on Xero. So when you come into Xero, you'll obviously see My Xero, which gives you access to your one and your demo. But in terms of what we're going to do today, we'll get out of the demo. Oh yeah, there you are, that's right. Just go back there. So as Chantel was saying beforehand, the help in Xero is fantastic. You generally can go from anywhere in Xero to that help for that particular page. So show help for this page. If you go and show help for this page, it'll take you straight to the Xero dashboard. And it'll take you, straight to Xero help, and we're on the dashboard, it's going to give you all the help for the dashboard. If you're on accounts payable, it's going to take you to accounts payable, and so on and so forth. So they've made it intuitive like that to try and assist users. There's pictures, and if we go back to the PowerPoint, there's videos. So if we go to this one, it's got all the different video tutorials. Again, which are going to be smaller than obviously the training session we're doing today. So, as you can see there on the right, features, how-to and tips. There we go. No worries, thank you. Your accountants and trusted advisors can all log in and work together. There you go, she said it. So therefore, the help is really, really good. The video tutorials are really, really good. Again, if it's out of hours and you can't get in contact with us. But their help is 24 hours. Because it's a worldwide organisation, there's always someone answering. So even if you send an email at 1 AM in the morning, you might get an email back within an hour. So it's all worldwide. So they've got good support, and they know they have to do that for two reasons. It's a subscription-based service. So if you're not happy with the service you're getting from Xero, you'll just stop using it. So that's why they have to do updates, and that's why they have to give good support. So setting up Xero. So in terms of the actual program, a quick demo. A quick tour. This is the main screen, as you would know. Lisa, you've been in there, but when you log in, this is what you see. This little green bit at the top here will be there until you start putting hide getting started. You can leave it there. It gives you a few prompts, I guess. Every time you go to a screen for the first time, that green bit will be at the top. But when you log in, normally this is what you're going to see. Your bank account's on the left, your accounts receivable, accounts payable on the right here, expense claims down the bottom, which you can have as your petty cash or similar things. Expense claims for guys on the road, Jenny, if they're lodging expense claims, so with you, Lisa, or even if it's just Stuart's expense claims, things like that. You've also got a watch list here, which you can choose what you show there. So a lot of my clients are showing GST, superannuation, PAYG.
And
So
that's a running total.
that's right, it's a year-to-date total, month and year-to-date. And the beauty of that is that basically from this home screen, you can look if your bank accounts are reconciled and your accounts receivable, accounts payable up to date, and you've got your watch list, you can actually from this dashboard interpret exactly what your position is. You got this much in the bank, you owe this much to other people, and you've got these liabilities. You know, if you're showing your GST, PAYG, etc., you've got these liabilities here that you can sort of look at and go, yep, that's what I owe. You know, that's what my position is. Basically, the way to interpret these graphs is this is based on due dates. So if you put in a due date on an invoice, this is telling you when the money's due to go out. And then the same likewise with accounts receivable. If you've got a due date on when it's due to come back into you, it's telling you that in November there's quite a lot of money due to come in. September and October, not a lot. And then obviously on the left, it's showing you the movement of your bank. So, and you can click on there and it's showing you what your balances were on those particular days. Then in terms of the actual operation, so yeah, dashboard is a link in its own, which will always take you back to the dashboard. Accounts here, you can go to the screen with all your bank accounts, your accounts receivable section, accounts payable section, pay runs, expense claims. You won't see fixed assets. We only see fixed assets here in the office as the advisors, so you don't have to worry about that. Payroll's there. Yep.
Can you change what the different people in the organisation say?
Yep. So we'll get on to. No, that's okay. No, I'll go through that at the end. It's all right. No, that's okay.
The screen is fully customizable, so if there's accounts that you need to see or things that you need to see, you can add them or you can subtract them. Yeah.
Reports, you've got this reports one, so basically we'll go through that. You've got your favourite reports, but then all the reports from there. There's a budget manager as well. I'll go through that quickly. You won't have this advisor tab, that's us. Contacts tab, so customers and suppliers, but being the main one, and then you can set up your own ones. We'll go through that. And then the settings is the other place. The beauty of it is most things can be gotten to a number of ways. So, you know, if you want to go to accounts payable, you can either go here, or you can go here. You can generate invoices from your home screen directly. So there's lots of ways to get to the same point. But everything's within 2 clicks. So it's not go here, go here, go here, go find it. You're always getting there within 2 clicks. So it's a bit of a tour, just running through where that is. Again, two little videos or helps there that sort of will help you get through the setup and some ideas to get you started. So, first thing I like to do before we go to custom suppliers, I just like to run through the settings and just run through what each does. That way, you know exactly what each do. Some will have no relation to you and your business whatsoever, but at least you know what's in there. Organisation settings is pretty straightforward. Put in your postal address, your physical address, your names, ABNs and all that sort of stuff, telephones, and this will pre-fill on your invoices. If you haven't customised an invoice, it'll just be what's there. I'll go back. Tracking. So like MyOb, like QuickBooks, you can set 2 different categories. Or sorry, not like MyOb and QuickBooks. Like MyOb and QuickBooks, you can set categories and track those categories. In Xero, you can only have 2. So you can have 2 different types of categories, and there's many different options underneath. So they've got consultant there, and they could have 50 consultants. What that does is allow you to allocate transactions, either bank transactions or sales and invoice transactions to a particular consultant. One of my other clients has got different warehouses, so they're running warehouse things and tracking it like that. So it gives you the ability to visualise the business, and you can put a tracking category on any transaction, including payroll as well, if you want to be allocating your payroll out. But as I say, you can only have 2. So we could set up another one, another tracking category, but then you can only have the 2 that are showing. Conversion balances you don't really need to worry about. That's just us bringing in balances as at the date you take over into Xero, or move into Xero, the day that you see the light, and then we bring in your previous financial year history. If you've got a business with a couple of years worth of financial statements, we'll bring them in so that you've then you're able to print a report and see what your historical transactions have been. But you don't have to worry about that one. But I run through all of them just so you don't go in there and go, I wonder what that is, and go and change things. Tax rates, that's all pre-filled. That's just your GST rates. So they're all GST and expenses, imports, etc. Chart of accounts, I'll come back to that because that's actually pretty important. Financial settings, basically showing year-end lock dates, so we can lock the file so changes can't be made, and then activity statement basis, so accruals or cash, tax file number, GST options, PAYG options, and if you've got income tax there, as well as if you're paying fringe benefits tax instalments, fuel tax credits, you can tick those boxes, and then when you do your BAS, those sections are there are ready to be filled in. That's got the time zone as well. Users, so Jenny, in regards to your question, so it's not letting me do it. I might go and show you this section in Northmead. So I showed Northmead Bowling Club because it's a public entity and everyone's allowed to see their data. I'm not going to show anyone's private data. So this is a live Xero file actually. We look after Northmead Bowling Club's accounts. So if we go into users, so there's quite a few users. A lot of the read-only ones are the board members. So I give the board full access to Xero. They've never had any access to accounts like that before, but they're able to go in and see everything that's going on. They answer all their own questions. So there's different levels of access. So we'll just set one up. So they can have read-only, which is none at the top. Oh, no, sorry, none, which is, if you choose none, they can then have payroll-only access. So if you had someone that was just doing payroll, this is one they only just brought in. Previously, you couldn't have payroll access without full access. So our client said, well, my payroll lady just does payroll. I don't want her to know what's in my bank account. So they made that. Read-only basically means that that's it. All they can do is view. Invoice only is 2 stages. One, they can generate invoices. So for guys on the road, they can actually generate an invoice directly in Xero, and some clients do that. And it has to be approved, or they can approve an invoice in Xero and give it to a client on the spot.
And would that go electronically through the internet?
Yeah, yep, you can do that. Standard is pretty standard. Basically, the only thing a standard user can't do that we can do is publish reports, which is not a major difference, and lock dates. So financial advisors being us, we can do everything. Standard advisors, if we lock it, then you can't go and change a previous transaction. And if we're not going to get into the habit of missing transactions, they are building more functionality around that. So there's been a lot of feedback around Mile and QuickBooks have a lot of segregation. Sometimes too much, but you know, this is the main. Generally, you either want people to have access to your bank account or you don't. So that's the main distinction. They can either see the bank account as a standard, or they can't see the bank account, and all they can do is look at accounts receivable and accounts payable. That's all they can do. Manage users obviously is ability to add and delete users, and payroll admin again, same thing. Can run a payroll, can do the rosters, can do timesheets. So that's the user section. So let's go back to the demo.
That's me.
All right.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I should get out of the habit of saying
I'm gonna have to edit that out now. All right. Okay, so I'll come back to chart of accounts. So that's users. Invoice settings. You have 2 options in Xero. You can either use the standard sort of branding theme that's done by Xero. You can have as many branding themes as you like. So you can see here they've got one which is a standard one, and then they've got one which is a special projects one. So they show different things on the invoices. The other thing you can do is you can design an invoice in Word and upload it. So as many graphics as you like, as many fields as you like that use Xero, and that's what we've done. So our invoices you get from us now have all been designed in Word with our letterhead, our logo and all that, and then we've just uploaded it into Xero. We help you do that if you want to do that, because it's pretty straightforward for us because we've done it a number of times. It can be a bit fiddly if you haven't done it before. But that, it's great. You can either have the standard or you can have it, and you can have as many different ones as you like for things like quotes. They are getting a quoting package coming in here, but at the moment, things like quotes or purchase orders and things like that, you can just have different branding themes within here. And as I say, that gives you the ability to have the look of whatever you like. Otherwise, it basically just shows a pretty standard logo in the corner, your details, and then some fields down the bottom. I'll show you one of those a bit later. Currency, we'll come back to inventory as well. Currencies, if you are dealing in multiple currencies, you can have that. And you can do it, that's the large subscription, you can have as many different currency types as you like. Pay items is part of the payroll. This is where we configure, this is where we configure the different rates and different, so that's the old payroll, sorry. That's where we configure the all the payroll deductions and superannuation items and everything like that. I'm just going to, for some reason it hasn't, I don't like the demo file because you can't change everything. That's okay. But we'll go through payroll, there'll be more at the end. Xero to Xero, if you know someone that uses Xero, and you can talk to the person with Xero. So you can send them an invoice and it sends it to them directly to their Xero as a draft.
So you have to okay that?
Yeah, you got to okay that, yeah. So everything they send, you still just puts as a draft and you have to approve the draft, but it's just data entry. Actually, we need to do that for our clients that are on Xero too. We haven't done that yet. Be a bit scary. All of a sudden your accountant's invoice is sitting in your draft accounts payable. But they've just changed that anyway. Now when you send an invoice through Xero, you can send it as a live invoice, and it actually allows you to just click on a link and import it into Xero as well if you're using Xero. It's actually been a bit of a conversation started with some clients that use Xero. They've sent these invoices, people going, what's that? What's this Xero program? And the client tells them about it, and then I get a phone call. So-and-so wants to look at Xero. Add-ons, I was talking about the ecosystem. So here just two add-ons there, the entire add-on directory in Xero, the entire add-on directory in Xero, all sorts, customer relationship, e-commerce, expense management, inventory, job tracking, payments, payroll, point of sale, time tracking, etc., etc. There's heaps. We're very, we use WorkflowMax internally, but we're very attached to Unleash, to Vend, to Receipt Bank, to Capsule. Capsule is fantastic. Yeah. We're just about to roll that out for our own internal marketing and CRM. Yep. If you need any help with that, let us know. Yep. But no, it's really, really straightforward. Receipt Bank, I'll just explain quickly what Receipt Bank is. You've heard of that technology where you can take a photo and it puts it in your Xero? Well, that's what Receipt Bank and Shoebox do. Receipt Bank's the better of the two in my mind. Take a photo, it's there in Xero as an accounts payable or an expense claim. How's your day? So the beauty of that is you take a photo, it puts it into Xero, but it also keeps a copy of that invoice in Receipt Bank and in Xero. So you can shred it. You can shred it. And by law, you don't have to keep a real copy, as long as you have a copy of it in the cloud. And it's cloud-based. The chance of you ever losing that's probably about 1,000,000 to 1, or even probably more like what the chance was to win that 100 million last week, because you'll have it in Receipt Bank, which is hosted in 4 or 5 different servers around the world, and same with Xero is hosted on 4 or 5 different servers around the world. So your invoices are literally stored in 10 secure locations around the world. The chance of all of them going, well, if that happens, the world's probably dead. So,
So this probably sort of asked you the question too, but most companies have more than one bank account, so you have your credit card and stuff on it. So it converts?
All of them, yep. So we'll come to that. So so that's just an example of one of the fantastic add-ons that is there that just saves time. And it's basically $14 a month for unlimited transactions. So it's not a big cost, the time saving you get out of it,
So on my iPad, I just photograph it and send it to my Xero.
Yep. And within an app, there'll be an app on your iPad, and within 24 to 48 hours, it's sitting there in Xero. So it's not instantaneous yet. They're getting quicker and quicker and quicker. It used to be 3 days. They promised 3 days. It's generally there in 48 hours. I think they're just about to promise 48 hours. It's generally there within a day.
But the minute I send it through, I don't mind.
No, you don't have to do anything else. What you do is you set up rules. So similar to how we're about to, I'll show you, you set up rules in Xero for the bank. Same sort of thing. You set up rules within Receipt Bank for the first time an invoice gets generated. So it's a little bit labour intensive at the start. But then it knows every time it sees BP, it knows it's fuel, it knows it's allocated to that particular expense, it knows to give it that GST code. Click, 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 and just makes life easy. So they're the add-ons. So the final two things to quickly look at, inventory items. It's a little bit confusing. So inventory in Xero isn't traditional inventory. So inventory is more like a pre-fill. So I'll show you what that means. It's not buying and selling inventory. So if you've got an actual inventory and you're buying and selling stock in your business, this is not enough. You need to have an add-on. What this does is allow you, it's like item codes. So you can see here that DEVD, it's got a description and it's a sales price and you know, it's a sales account and there's the GST on income. I'll show you what that means. So the best way to do it is as an example. So if I just generate a new invoice, David Jones, you have these items, you choose the item, it just pre-fills your line. So it just makes light work of doing an invoice. So if you have labour costs, I know you have labour costs, Jenny, and labour and all that sort of stuff, standard materials, waste, you know, anything like that, or even, you know, even for us, you know, standard paragraphs that we always use, you can set them up as items, choose the item, and it just pre-fills, even with a price, and you can override it, of course.
So you can buy a inventory program that'll
Talk to Xero.
with this, and so you still end up, you do half, you'd say labour in this one, and you actually...
No, you generate it all in the inventory one, and then it would put it into Xero as an invoice.
Okay, so you'd use that program.
Yeah. So it's like a pre-fill, and it can be on accounts payable or receivable. So yeah, there is quantities there. You know, so if you put 2 there, if that was a labour, well, there is a labour one actually. So if it was 2 hours, it makes it $1,300 here on the right. But it doesn't track that. It won't allow you to print a report that shows how many hours of labour have you sold and all that. It's purely a pre-fill system. They've been getting a lot of feedback saying, please do it, but they're going to stay away from it, they've said, because there's much better solutions out there. It's a pretty specialised, and Unleashed, the program that we're partnering with now for that, do it fantastic. And Xero focuses on best of breed. So they do general ledger, bank reconciliations, and payroll the best. You know, and others do the best in everything else. So, but that's inventory. Again, it just makes light work of data entry as opposed to anything else. And chart of accounts. So again, everyone knows what the chart of accounts is. Pretty straightforward. You set up your accounts as you like. You've got your different categories, assets, liabilities. The good thing, the difference between Mob and Xero is you can either sort by code or sort by name. If you're trying, I'll show you that. You know, you don't have to type in a code. You just type in the name of the account. So it makes it easy to find the accounts. It's pretty easy to add them and customise them. But from here, you can actually go and say, oh, what was in sales? You actually click on the link and it shows you your sales report. So even from your chart of accounts, you can get straight to the detail that's contained within that account. All right. And it's pretty easy to add one. Different types. Give it a code, give it a title. Description's sometimes good. You know, these all have descriptions, as you can see, but you don't have to have a description. It is handy to remind you where things should go. And for other people, exactly. Dashboard watch list, that's what I was telling you about before. That main screen that you can have, you know, your GST, POIG, that's the box you tick to get it to show on your dashboard. Expense claims, again, not every item will show up in expense claims, so you can limit the accounts to show expense claims. And payments list account, I wouldn't worry too much about that. So that's the settings. So I've gone through all the settings, just so you know what's in all of them. But a lot of that, once it's set up, it's done. You know, chart of accounts is probably the main thing you'd be changing every now and then. All right, so let's start running through some of the basics of setup and operation, and then, you know, again, it's a nice simple program, so it's really going to be pretty easy to flow through. So in the contacts, we'll go into all contacts. So this is where you can set up all your contacts. customers, suppliers, etc., and you can group them. So by pre-fill, the only 3 contacts, or the only 2 types of contacts are customers and suppliers, but you can add as many different groups as you like. So you could put wholesale customers, and it creates a new group. You can put retail customers. You could put trade customers, you know, all sorts of groups, and then you can start grouping your contacts. This links to Capsule, just so you know, Jenny.
Right.
So if you set up a database in here, you can link it into Capsule and they talk to one another. You update it in Xero, it updates in Capsule and goes backwards and forwards. And any sorts of linkages to database type softwares in the cloud, it talks to it. So you update in one, it updates the other. The Unleashed program, the inventory program, if you update their file in Unleashed, it'll update it in Xero and vice versa. So it's only, this is this whole seamless talking thing. They use what's called an open API.
Another question. When you set up a client, like we've got a couple of clients that are on different rates.
Yep. Yep.
Can you set that up in the client? Or?
Yeah. So I have various ways to do that. So let's just set up a contact. So the contact name is obviously the business name. And then we go in here, you put in the main contact person. They are, again, expanding the functionality to let you have multiple contacts. The whole thing around Xero is the KISS principle. You know, multiple contacts mean for multiple problems. You know, we've had a lot of problems updating our database from our old legacy software to our new Workflow Max cloud-based software with multiple contacts, wrong contacts, and I've created a nightmare for my team out there with making them focus on getting it right. It's just been a nightmare.
There's some companies that have got 4 contacts.
That's right. So here, this is the main contact. You're going to like this one. So when you're putting in the address, look at that. Come on. Center. So it uses white pages to find where it is. You can keep the same postal address, or you can, that's what it used to be. Level 6, 123 Epping Road. That's it. Yeah, you know, put in your, again. You can put in the numbers there. You can put in Skype details if you're dealing with people like that. Again, linking into other whilst it might not be as important in Xero, you know, linking these sorts of Skype details and website details into Capsule is good. ABNs, so you can put in the ABNs. I don't know what our ABN is. You can give them a default code. You can still override it each time, but account receivable, GST on sales, or GST on income, I should say, GST on expenses. You can put if they've got a discount, default currency, bank account. So we'll get onto bulk payments of clients. But if you want to use the functionality of batch payments from Xero, which creates a file to upload to your internet banking, this is where you put their bank account, BSB and account number in there. So I'll get onto how that works. Default branding, so remember we looked at the invoice branding, there was 2 different types. You could choose for a particular client that they get a certain type of invoice, depending on who they are, and you can use the standard or the special or whatever one you've chosen. And that's that network key. So if they're using Xero as well and they give you their key, you put it in there and it talks to one another. Okay. It's always going to default obviously to Australian dollars, but let's just save that. Okay. Now you know here, see this history and notes? There's a full audit trail in Xero. Just tells you when things change. Just tells you who does the change. It's logged in at the time. So if you've got an invoice that's been changed a number of times, you can see who was the last person to change it. Someone goes, I didn't change that. You go, yeah, you did. There it is right there on Xero. And you can add notes on any particular page. That's right. That's right. Exactly. So,
it. Tell us you left the office.
Well, actually, we're just about to install in a client's restaurant in Perth that uses Xero. It's called Deputy, and it links to Xero's payroll. It's a Bundy on, Bundy off rostering system, but it's got a geographical stamp. So if someone's running late, I'm going to clock in at 8:30. It'll say, actually, they're 2 kilometres down the road.
It'd be great for the sales staff.
So that's why we're putting in. He's got 3 restaurants now. They're always late. They're always not bunding on and off.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, I was there, you know. He's now going to be able to go, actually, you were 2 kilometres down the road in Fremantle and you should have been at Victoria Park.
Yeah, we use GPS for that one.
Yep.
But this sounds right.
Well, there's one called GEOP. There's a really good one called GEOP that's out now. And that's purely for the trade industry around time costing and geographical time stamping and all that sort of stuff. So it's all web-based, talks to Xero. It's great. So the thing about all of this is just Xero is just the start of all these sorts of things. But when you're looking at someone's thing here, you can actually go to the map, find out where they are. You know, well, there we are.
Yeah.
Are we? Oh, yeah, there's the ranch. Yes, we're just here. There it is. You can do a Skype call directly from, so it wants to launch it. If you've got Skype there, you can go straight to the website, of course. So again, it's intuitive. And you can merge contacts. So if you've got 2 of the same, you can merge them together, you can archive. Financial details, then giving a snapshot of, you know, ABNs, blah, blah, blah. And you can actually generate an invoice direct from the contact field. So you don't have to actually be in accounts payable. So new receivable invoice, it's going to pick up EFS and so on and so forth. So again, it's just making life easier, I guess. And then that contact, let's say that EFS is a retail customer, you can add it to a group. So as well as being in all, it's now under retail as well. So you can do your groups. Look, and it gives you a snapshot too. So if you have a look here, it might say that, you know, payables are due to EFS for, you know, accounting fees, or if I was a customer, that I owe you so much, and if it's overdue. So just a snapshot from your client. You could have a snapshot going purely to all your retail clients and see who owes you money and how much they're overdue. You don't even have to go to accounts receivable to see that. So it allows you to do that grouping. You don't need to worry about added employee. Okay, so that's old and defunct. Don't know why it's still in demo.
But they're included in the alphabet.
Yeah, that's right. It's in alphabet as well.
James, I work for a company, so I'm just completely in sales on my own.
Yep.
And what they do is they pay me via invoice,
Mm-hmm.
and let's say there's some marketing costs, they deduct it from my commission.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what I get is an electronic statement coming through. Do I have to physically then input all that information into Xero?
Yeah, so 2 ways that you could look at that. One would be if you're able to get it from them in a CSV file.
What's that?
That's an Excel file. CSV being the comma separated. I don't know what V stands for, actually.
Variety.
Yeah, right. Comma CSV. Yeah. So you can either get it in a CSV, and we could work out an import, a nice easy import to have that detail, or as I'll show you when we look at the invoices in a minute, you can create a repeating invoice. So if you've got a monthly if you get paid monthly, or whatever your regular period is, you can set it up with all the pre-filled data, and all you do is just change the numbers based on that month.
And I'd have to do, okay. So
You would need to do that, yeah.
Or you should get them on Xero.
Get them onto Xero, and then get us to be
the
the accountants, and everything's happy.
Oh, I think so.
That'd be the way to do it. Why
How
not?
much commission do I get?
We'll look after you. Depends how big they are. So that's customers. Pretty straightforward. Customers, suppliers, and all types. But that's the basics around it. So let's actually have a look at invoicing. Just what you were talking about then, actually. So, as I said, a couple of ways to get there. Accounts receivable. Go to accounts receivable. Add a receivables invoice. Money coming in. All gets there. So this is your accounts receivable main screen. Okay. So obviously up here, new invoice, new credit note, send statements. You can import invoices, what we were just talking about then. Summary, which is where we are now, tells you based on the colours here, you know, who obviously owes you money. You know, just click and see over who owes you money. You can see there, debtor exposure. Click out, it's telling you who owes you how much. By status, draft invoices awaiting approval. If you've got guys that are generating them directly in Xero and it needs to be ticked off. Who owe, you know, you've got 12 people that owe you money, and it's giving you a debtor's exposure here, who owes you the most money. So the easiest way, as I said, if we look at, that's when you, if you've got a brand new invoice, that's how it comes up, no pre-fill. When you're typing in to, as you see, it's pre-filled to EFS, so once they're in there, once they're there, you can generate an invoice if someone that's saying not in the system. It'll add me automatically, just as a name. So I haven't obviously got address details and all that, but you can just do the invoice and worry about the rest later. You don't have to go back in, obviously, to date. Date's
Is there a reminder for that?
No. So, you know, it'll just stay there. The reminder will be you generate invoices, no address details. So that'll be the reminder. You can set your terms on invoices, but you know that you put your due date. Invoice number you can set it to start. If you've already got an invoice range going, you can set the next one to be. Reference might be a purchase order number. That can be anything. You don't have to have anything on there, but it might be that there was a purchase order number. Branding.
Something like that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you get a, is there a setting that they have to put a reference in?
No. So it can be missed.
No.
Yeah, there are some, again, there's little things like that they're going to start bringing out in the next sort of 12 months. I know they've got lots of wish lists. The wish list is, as you can expect. They've actually started having a community forum for the, you know, the top 5 get done now. So they ask, you go and vote. So if you're using Xero, you can go to the community forum, you can vote. If it gets the most votes, it's going to get done. And then the next 5 will get done. And the next 5, just keep running votes. So it's good. You know, it's who wants the most gets it the most. So you can choose your branding theme. So again, if it could be, you know, you could have 10 different branding themes and you can choose that there. As I said, you could have a item there to come through, or if that's not what it needs to be, you don't even have to have an item. To be honest, I generally just have one quantity and just put the amount. But again, you could put 2. Again, it's just to make addition. Yeah. If you know you're selling 5 widgets at $10 each, you could put 5 at 10 rather than having to work it out. You can put a discount in there, choose the account it goes to. As I said, you can either choose the account number, sales, or you can type sales. I like mile.
So that discount will come up automatically if it's set up for that client?
Yes, that's right, but you can override it.
Yeah.
Boom, put the discount on. The only, well, it's the 10%. I should have noted there, tax inclusive or exclusive, or no tax. You can choose how you want it to show. So at the moment it's tax exclusive, instead of adding GST at the end. Or you could change it to inclusive. How it prints on your invoice depends on your invoice setup, but just for you internally, it makes it easy to work it out. So as I said, sales, obviously it's going to pre-fill. And remember I was talking about the tracking categories. So there's the consultant there, so that actually belonged to Oliver, that sale. And you actually decide that that should actually be up the top there. You can drag it up. Drag it up, come on. Or you drag that one down, that's better. That's good. Mild, you know, wish that was at the top. You're going to delete it. So you can just move around, and you can have as many lines as you like. There is no limit. It'll just keep going onto the next page. It'll just keep going. And then you can delete lines quite easily as well.
But you wouldn't need to be set up.
That's right. If you throw in a discount there was a 50% discount, takes it off, shows subtotal includes a discount of X. The thing to note with discounts is if you do a discount, as their accounts receivable here, it's a bit of a quirk and they're trying to work out how to fix it. If you do a discount on your accounts receivable and you send it via the Xero network, they can't import that as an accounts payable because it can't recognise that discount. So it's great if you're sending it to people not in Xero, but then they can't import it if they're using Xero. So it's a bit of a quirk. Again, they're trying to work out how to fix that. And there's a couple of options. You can either approve out of next, approve and view next, or you can save as a draft, save and continue editing, save and submit for approval. So if you've got someone on invoice only access, that's all they have, save and submit for approval. It then sits there waiting for somebody higher up to go, yep, we're happy with that invoice, let's approve it. So that's how that works. Integration with other things like Unleashed and GOP and SimPro and all those sorts of things, they all come through like similar save for approval or save or approve straight away. You can set that up in the other program. So when it comes through, it's going to be mirroring what it was in the other program. Yeah. So say in Unleashed, they put one up for approval over there, and you went and approved that in Unleashed, it would then come through as approved in Xero. It won't come through into Xero until you've approved it in the other program, and so on and so forth. So you're not going to have these double ups back and forth. So we'll approve that. And so it's approved. You can email that invoice. And what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to send it to myself.
Is there a way to look at the invoice, how they're going to get it without having to push that little print? Because I'm always going there looking at it and cancelling those downloads out. I've been under it in 5 clicks, and it's probably a one-step click.
Yeah, that's fine. Show you. So once you've approved it, you can print PDF, leave as is. This is the only way to see the invoice. Print now. Puts it down the bottom. No, that's the only way to do it. So that's the standard invoice there. People can pay via PayPal. They can actually pay via PayPal direct.
If you have a PayPal account.
If you've got a PayPal link, that's right. If you want to pay, you can see down here. It's got, you can customise what that says and so on and so forth. But that's the standard sort of Xero, which is okay in itself. I think it's all right. And as you can see, I set myself up as a new customer, but I've got no details there. So you can now go back into Xero, put my address in, and then redo the invoice, and the invoice would have my address in it.
Yeah. So you emailed with the sign reject the email.
Yep, that's right. So when I went email, then as you can see, it's blank.
Yeah.
So if you put me in now, let's invoice blah blah blah. Here is your invoice, and I'm going to send that. And I am actually going to I'm going to go and show you what that comes through as. It's not Michelle. And this was one of their major releases about a month ago, and this is what is generating a lot of talk, I guess, around the industry about the functionality that they've actually now given to businesses to be able to keep up to date with debtors and statements and things like that. So Outlook. Never like opening my emails. Who knows what could be sitting in there.
Well, you look now and you get electricity bill, you have to pay it one day after you've got a notice coming in. So this way you can keep track of people too.
There it is. So this is the invoice. So if you open it up, this is what the client will see. Here is your invoice. You can configure that to show it a bit better. But when the person, and this is whether they use Xero or not, when the person goes, oh, okay, there's an invoice, there's a PDF of it there at the top. But if they actually click on that, it's a live web-based invoice.
Can you customise that message?
Come on. There we go.
One day overdue, what were you saying?
So this is now, here's the invoice, straight out of Xero. This is what the client would see. If they have Xero, they can hit save and it puts it into Xero. And it actually, let's say that they owe you money from another invoice and you send them a new invoice, it tells them that they also owe you their other invoice as well. So if you're doing recurring invoice, particularly in your business, Jenny, recurring invoices, here's them a new one, but oh, by the way, you still owe us another $10,000. So the statement is always going automatically. So it's pretty nifty.
Because when they won't pay, I won't.
So what it says, so basically what it says is up the top here, 20 grand, but here's the new invoice that you've got for 5. So you were still owing us 15 from before. They can pay it straight away. Oh, sorry. So you can see that there's only one invoice.
Oh, up there.
So
Yeah, sorry.
if we go,
So up there it shows them.
and pay now, it's taken straight. If they have PayPal, and I can tell you that I'm allowed to say this now. There will be the opportunity. They're linking with a thing called eWay, and eWay, like if you buy crust pizza, it's through eWay. So basically, someone can pay you by credit card direct from there. They don't even have to have a PayPal account anymore. But even here, as you know, with PayPal, you don't have to create a PayPal to pay through PayPal. You can just use your credit card. So they can literally pay that invoice on the spot like that. Again, if you've got a tradie out on the road, send it straight to the client. Client on their iPhone can go pay, that comes through. So again, whether they do or not, that's a different story. But again, it's they're just making it easier and easier and easier to get paid. So they've written a few white papers, if you like, if they call them, around, and they're on the Xero community around using all this technology to get paid faster and on time. So that's accounts receivable. I'll throw a few things there. Obviously, I've got to get back to. Can't see it. I can't get there. Hang on. Must shut a few down. I'll shut you down. Shut you down. You down. You down.
So how long have you been doing that?
Since Feb last year, but in terms of really dealing with it from about May. And the beauty of it is it's so easy to use. It's pretty easy. I mean, we're spending it. We're going through quite a few things, but again, it's pretty intuitive. Again, that lady from Ella Rouge at Castle Hill, she taught herself on it, and she'd been using Mild, and she's taught herself on it. Didn't need any training. I was trying to get her in the last session, she couldn't get in. Tried to get in today, she couldn't get in, but she set it up herself just watching the 2-hour video that we're doing now. So obviously you can email it, you can print it. Invoice options, you can edit an invoice when it hasn't been paid, you can void it, you can copy it, you can repeat it. So, Micheline, in regards to what you were saying before, let's say that what we've got here is the body of generally what your standard invoice is. So we can say that this transaction repeats every month on the 14th. Oh, okay, bad option. On the 29th, it's due 7 days, 6 days. There's no end date. It can either be saved as a draft to be changed. It can either be approved or it can be approved and sent straight away. We actually do that in here now. So we have a lot of clients on recurring monthly fees. Ours automatically approve and send, and there's probably about 40 clients. So in the old days, it was generate 40 invoices, print them, put them in an envelope, send them out. So that literally was a day's worth of work for the staff at Epic. Now it's done in 5 seconds at 2 a.m. every morning on the 5th of the month. So the time saving there is just phenomenal. So the same thing, but in regards to what you're saying, Michelin, so if you do that, it's now a repeating invoice. So that repeating invoice will come up each month. It'll be sitting here in draft.
No, that one was approved.
Oh yeah. So the repeating one would come up there. Awaiting approval. Yeah. Oops. Oh, that's another one. But the repeating one would come up. It'd come up in draft, and you would go in to that draft one. It's a different one, and you would go, well, actually, it was $600 that week. Actually, I'm gonna use a better example. I'm going to repeat this now. It's an easy way to do that. Let me think. I want something with 2 lines. Nope. I'll just add a line. Marketing. Oh, what's it cost? So let's say, Michelin, That's the repeating invoice.
So much easier to find.
Yeah, so the invoices come up. This is what it would be waiting approval. And you might have been like, well, actually, my invoice was 5,000. And they've given you that statement. But they took out $600 in marketing costs. And so the net that I got was 4,900, and you approved that. So everything else is already pre-filled. The date, who it's going to, the due date, the branding theme, and literally you just change 2 numbers in there and hit approve. So Mile had that. Mile had repeating invoices and all that, but they were clunky to use. And then you can email that straight out to them because they might want a record back. Obviously, it's in reverse. I can see how that invoices are working. But then you can just send it out to them for they've got a copy for their records. All right. So we'll go back to receivables. So as I say, drafts awaiting approval. So someone's obviously generated that, waiting approval from someone higher. The history, you can see who put it in for approval, was submitted by me. And you get the same thing, you just go, yeah, that's right, approve that. You can see all your paid invoices, everyone that's paid you. Going to find someone says, I've paid you, you can go and find it, it's pretty straightforward. Actually, I just clicked on a credit note, it's not useful. So it shows you the date they paid. You can actually go to the transaction within the bank reconciliation that shows how it was paid, who approved the payment, all those sorts of things, how it was paid, it was direct deposit. So it's easy to get there. We'll come back to the bank rec towards the end. Credit notes. So you can do credit notes here as a general credit note, not against an invoice in particular, or you can go into an invoice and actually go add credit note, and it puts it against that particular invoice. So there's 2 ways to do them. So someone might just be unhappy and they'd be giving them a credit, $500, it could just sit there and be waiting there. Or there's an invoice that needs to have an invoice put against the credit put against because there's a change in the amounts or whatever. You can vary, you can change invoices. You can change invoices if they haven't been paid, so you can change all of the things against it. So you get invoice edit, and you can change all the fields. When an invoice has been paid, the only field you can change is the allocation, the account. So I'll actually show you that. So on here, so the invoice has been done. Oh, hang on, it's wrong. Okay, it actually should be going to that account. The price was actually 67. It was actually invoice number. It was actually white 2. The due date, actually, I should have made it that day. Update. It's done. Okay, you can change everything on there. If you've got a payment, if you've got one that's been paid, so it's a bit of a foolproof system. So Xero Transport, they've actually paid their invoice. You can only edit a couple of things. Can't edit who it was to, can't edit dates, can't edit descriptions, quantities, prices. All you can change is the account you want it to go to and who the consultants were. That's it. Stops you from getting GST wrong and stops you from changing the amount after the fact. So once it's reconciled, it's locked in Xero basically, which is again another way of making sure your bank doesn't get out of balance. You can void invoices, of course. You can only delete an invoice that hasn't been paid. So if it hasn't been paid, you can delete it. If it's been paid, if you have to delete it, if you really want to delete it, you've got to unreconcile it, unpay it, and then you can delete it. But you can't void it. So
how often do you do a reconciliation on the same as
on your bank?
Yeah.
Daily.
But you could do it monthly?
Yeah, you could, but you'd be silly to. I'll show you why.
Okay.
So that's generating invoices and all that. Sending statements. So very, very easy to send statements. Put in your statement period. If you know all of these people are due to get a statement, you might only send it to the overdue ones. click on email. If they haven't got an email address, you should make sure they've got them in there. And you set up a standard theme for your statements. Here is your invoice, you owe me money, and you go send. So we just sent out 5 statements in 15 seconds. So if you've got lots of debtors, you can send out your, like we do, we're able to send out our statements. It used to be print, put the stickers on them, put them into the mail, put them in the post, send them out. And generally if it's in the mail, it's very easy. Oh, that's from the accountant. I know what that is. If it comes in an email, people are always going to open it. They're always going to open emails. It's just people love to open emails.
We've done ours through email. Comes so it comes.
Well, there you go. That's done.
And then you've got to choose which ones are being emailed.
Yeah, this you still need to choose. You can choose all, obviously, or you can send specifics. But as you can see, you know, it's
the email one only comes up with the ones with email addresses.
I know it'll come up with all of them. You can put them in. So it shows you here if it's missing an email address. But you can edit.
Untick them and
Yeah,
print them instead.
but you can actually edit it directly from here. So if you actually put in their email address in here, if you edit it in here, it's now, yeah, oops, I went to the invoice. It's because I added those extra ones. If I go like that, and you put the email address in there, that's going to save it against their file.
Yeah.
So if you've forgotten, okay, now I know, you can update it on the fly.
Can you override that though? Because sometimes you have to
Yep, you can override. So that's why when it comes up as email, it's got who it's going to go to. And if you wanted to send it to a few more people, you just put in a column. You know, if you want to put it into 10 different people in accounts, you know, you're going to get paid to do that. But again, it just, and I know there's more improvements coming in statements, a bit like how the invoices go out live, the statements go out live as well. Well, the statement goes out live as well, and we'll show them the amount they owe and all that. So again, there's more things coming that are getting better, but send statements now, you can set, you know, we've actually just decided, we used to send our statements 30th of the month. We've actually decided because it's so easy, we can start sending them every 2 weeks. Our terms are 14 days. So why not? It's there. The more and more you get in someone's face about owing money, the more and more they're going to pay you. So particularly, you know, in your trades, you know, you just want to get him paid. So that's how easy it is to send statements. The last thing in accounts receivable is recording payments. So there's 2 ways to record a payment of an invoice. Show you the first way. If you're not going to reconcile your bank account, which I'll show you a little bit later, regularly, and when I say regularly,
I do it every day, but I don't finalise it till the end of the month.
Yeah, so it's different to mine. Basically, as you do it, you are finalising, and I'll show you how. There's two ways. If you're not going to go into Xero and tick off via the dashboard, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute, your ins and outs. If you're going to say maybe do it once a week or once a fortnight, which I don't suggest you do, but if you do, some clients do. And if you want to still keep a track of who owes you money and who doesn't owe you money daily, let's say Bayside sent you a remittance and said, yep, we've paid your money today, and today's Friday and you've already done your bank rec for the week, if you're going to do it weekly. You can come in here and like MYOB, you can put, yeah, they paid today. I've seen it come into the bank account. You can put a reference if you wanted to add payment. That pays off the trade debtor. It's gone. It creates an unreconciled deposit in the bank rec. Okay, that's the old archaic, outdated, reactive business way of doing things in Xero, which only a few of our clients do it that way, for no other reason that they just can't get their head around. They've got live data and yeah, they're just used to it. So that's one way. The other way is this. So I'm going to jump into the reconcile and give you just a quick snapshot of that. We'll come back to that in more detail. So just so everyone knows, on the left here is, should you keep pointing at this? The left here is the live data from the bank, and on the right is the allocation and the matching in Xero. This is the magic of Xero. This is what has made Xero so loved by accountants and business owners around the world to date. Let's get rid of that. So we basically just ticked off an accounts receivable manually. However, you don't have to do that. If you're coming into your bank rec daily, Jenny, this is what you see daily, and it matches it up. It's trying to match it up. Okay, so what this has done here, it's gone 8th of November, $550 was received, and it's found, and it was paid by Hamilton Smith as the payee. So that's the detail that's come through, pay Hamilton Smith, blah, blah, blah. It's found that there was an invoice, accounts receivable, waiting to be paid of $550 from Hamilton Smith. And if you know that that's the only Hamilton Smith that owes you $550 and you know that's correct, you go like this. That's just reconcile the bank account, it's paid off your accounts receivable.
Which companies are trading names different to theirs? Does it have a second sort of invoice number or something?
Yep. So the first sort it does is when a transaction comes into Xero, the algorithms that are running in the background go through this process. It looks for if it's a receipt of money, it automatically looks for an accounts receivable invoice. It looks for name, it looks for amount, it looks for invoice number, and any other identifier that you've put in your invoice and accounts receivable versus what they've put in their EFT transactions.
So we've got, like we do, for example, a company that pays 30 invoices every month.
Yep. So I'll show you how that works now.
Okay.
Yep. And so, yeah, there's always an answer. So what happens here is, if we go to the next one down, 3850's come in and it's gone, great. It's matched it up, but there's actually another one that could be. So in this case, there was actually 2 invoices for the same amount from the same person. So in this case, you might actually go, actually they weren't paying the one. So it's actually allocated at the moment down the bottom here. Automatically, it's prompted, it's gone, well, we're going to say it's the earliest one. It'll always pick the earliest. If it can't identify, so they haven't, or actually, no, let me rephrase that. In the detail up here, they've put 1026 and it's matched to that 1026. If there was no detail, it'll always pick the earliest.
Yeah.
But you might actually go, well, actually, it wasn't that one. It was that one. That first one's in dispute. So it ticks off the right one. Okay. So that's another way. And now I'll show you, Jenny, the question you were just asking, multiple payments. If you do have someone pay multiple payments, this, via the bank rec, is the only way you can do it efficiently. So let's go back to the start. Oh, there was one there. Let's choose Boom. So let's say that Boom FM of $1,100, let's say they're paying 4 or 5 transactions within that 1,100. So as you saw, it was sitting like this. You go match. You either go find and match there or find and match there. And actually, they were paying that one. They were paying that one. They were paying that one and that one. And you just keep ticking, and eventually, it's not going to work. Eventually, it comes up green.
But you could split it.
That's
Come
right.
out of that green.
Yeah, down the bottom here. So it's now out.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
and the other thing could be that, so let's assume that 1,100 was all of them. It would come up green, like that, and you just click OK. But you can also split payments. So let's say that they disputed this payment of $660, and they're actually only paying you on the remittance they gave to you $120. It'll actually leave $540 against that actual invoice, and then only allocate. So it'll once you eventually click OK against that client's thing, it shows total invoice $660, paid $120 on this date, balance remaining this much, and that's then when you may be going in and doing a credit note because they've disputed or something like that. So you've got the ability to match up multiple payments against remittance invoices that come in, and you've also got the ability to split how much someone's paid you if they paid you in part, or they've underpaid you for $100, and you go, oh, hang on, why have you underpaid me? Oh, sorry, that's a mistake. Of course it was. Transfer that. And then when that extra 100 comes in, it'll match it up. It'll just do it automatically. So that's what it does. If, let's say, for instance, you've actually done it, but you charge them $690 of interest because they hadn't paid you, you can either do an adjustment, or you can actually create a brand new transaction. So on the right here, you'll see it says create new transaction. Actually, that's a bad example. You go to adjustments, minor adjustment. No, that's a bad example. Adjustments, bank fees, and you can put in what it was. So to interest covenants. Yeah, interest account interest received. No GST, no consultant, and put the amount in. That we all asked about. There we go, reconcile. So that just did a number of there, split payments, multiple payments against one value, as well as a finance charge for someone that underpaid you and you charge them interest on it. So there's lots and lots of things there. Or if, you know, you add on a $10 account keeping fee, whatever. So again, it's pretty flexible, I guess is the word. So they're the, so I'll go out of the bank rec again now because we'll come back to that in closing. But that's the way to manage your accounts receivable. A couple of ways. I prefer, actually I should show you, I'll just go back. I prefer to do it live. So I don't like to pay it off and then have it sitting as an unpresented. Doing that does this. So if I use this one and I scroll down, that bottom one, base side, that's the one that I did, I paid manually. So you can see it's sitting there now waiting for someone to pay 2680 into the bank account. So it's created an unreconciled transaction. And that'll sit as unreconciled until an amount comes into the bank to match it up. And that's sometimes why in Xero you can get out of balance. Say for instance you've paid it off manually and you've forgotten you've paid it off and you can't find the invoice, so you might just code it directly to sales. You'll then have a double up in sales and your bank will be out by $4,500 or whatever the figure is.
But you'd see that straight, or someone would see that straight up on the dashboard.
That's right, you would, you'd see that. So that's,
chase that within that day.
Yeah, it makes it very hard to get out. They make it very hard to get out of balance, but it can happen because there is manual, they have to allow you to do manual ways. So the less you use that manual payment, the less chance you would ever. So if you always try and keep it on a cash basis, apart from your payables and receivables, who owes you money and who you owe money to, if you're always making sure that you reconcile your bank through here and you pay your debtors through here and you pay your creditors off through here, you'll never be out of balance. It's impossible. It actually is impossible. But if you do a manual receipt or a manual payment, spend money, as in the old spend money, receive money mob, you can get yourself out of balance. So I just say clients don't do that. I wish I could turn that off in some clients, but that's what it is. Okay, so that's receivables. Again, the help for receivables is great, videos, tutorials, and all that on the help page. So let's have a look at payables. Very, very similar. So again, the screen looks the same. EFS.
+7 there, +30.
Was it?
You can put
oh yeah.
+7.
So that's right. You can go +7.
It calculates the same forward.
Forgot about that one.
But if you've got your client set up on a 30-day account, it will come in automatically.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that comes through.
No.
Not in Xero, in another program. If you had it as a 30-day account in Unleashed or Simpro or GL, it would come through.
Because at the moment I run a service program alongside
I've seen that,
and I do most of my work actually through the service program.
That's right, yeah.
But this has got a service program similar with the diary and all that sort of stuff.
Identical, yeah. So we might have to look at something like that. Total, Again, you could have standard, just to make life easier, if you had one called accounting fees, but you can add it there. So, you know, if you're setting up Mile, wash my mouth out. It might be that you're setting it up on the fly. So next time around, it's there. So when I say to anyone starting to use Xero, take the time. It's great. There's a lot of things you can do very quickly straight away, but take the time just to do, and I'll explain about the bank rules and all that towards the end. Take the time to set up some of these things, because next time it's a lot quicker. And I'll show you the example of that with Northmead in a minute. That should be. Now see how I've left it as tax inclusive. I've got my total there. Our invoice is 3,300. I did one. Oh, hang on. Oh, bugger. That's actually tax inclusive. I just changed it. In Mile, we did that, and it would actually throw it out. But that's done. Approve. So it's pretty straightforward. Okay. It has a similar make a payment like accounts receivable does. If you were to pay this off now, it would create an unpresented check in your bank rec, waiting for you then to either write us a check, EFS us the money, and then when it comes through into the bank feed, it will then match it up. So again, but you don't need to do that. If you went and paid us now via credit card on the phone, or EFS'd us the money individually, next tomorrow into your bank would come that transaction of 3,300, and it would match it up, and you click OK, and it will pay it off. So you don't have to use this make a payment down the bottom. I just thought I'd show you. You do have the option. I was talking about Receipt Bank a minute ago, and you can take photos. So if this was created as a draft, it would actually be there as an attachment. Or if you want to, if you just had a scan of it already, it allows you to put a copy of it manually against it if you wanted to. And it would have just attached, then you could shred the original. Again, you can create credit notes. You know, if a customer if supplier gives you a credit note, you can put a credit note against your own amount that you owe. Again, same thing. It can be a general one, or it can be against a specific invoice. So that then next time an invoice is generated by that particular supplier, you can say, well, actually, don't forget, you've given me a credit note of $1,200, and that's sitting there, and then you can pay it off that way. Again, the best thing with credit notes is sometimes they never occur in your business, so therefore, I don't bother showing too many people. If you do have one and you're not sure, just call us. We'll run you through the process. As you can see, there's errors there. It doesn't let you go forward so things work. And so what happens now is there's a nice, my invoice is only $2,100. There's a credit note of $1,200. So then when I pay that $2,100 to the supplier, it clears out that full thing. Okay. Again, there's a bit of a graph there. Shows you the status. You can import invoices in via CSV file. Again, like you can import invoices from an income perspective. Again, if you need to do that, you're best just to speak to us and we'll guide you through that the first time. But I'm going to show you the other great time-saving feature in Xero. So let's say you've got a process of paying your accounts maybe twice a month, once a month, maybe just 30 days, whatever. You can have a look here. Here's your accounts payable. You can print that out if you want, or you can have a look at it here. I should actually say you can actually put plan dates. So there's a lot of little things like that. You can put a plan date, so it sort of it creates a payment schedule if you're going to start looking at that. Maybe not for you. It's not going to be as prevalent, but Jenny, it might be more prevalent for yours with such a larger management of accounts payable. Yeah, so you can do that.
They do,
yeah, it might say there's a due date, but 23rd, but actually, you know what, we're not going to pay it at the 30th. What it does is it puts up here that on the 30th, 2100 is due. If we're going to say that one's on the 30th too, as you can see, 2232 is due. So it just shows you, quite easily what's there. You can do the same. I forgot to show you, just so you know. I'm going to scoot back. back in accounts receivable, expected date. You can put notes. The bastards at Marine Systems have said, promised and promised, and you finally got into them and said, client promised by 25th 11th. Expected payment.
Because that's one of the hardest things to get my staff to do is to put bloody notes in.
Yeah, I'll shave and show you again. So on the awaiting payment screen, add date and notes.
Oh,
Yep.
that's right.
Yep, right there. And it puts it against there. And you can
Notes anywhere in this system.
notes everywhere. And again, it's a full history.
I've got to try and put notes in 2 different programs, and I get none.
Yeah, that's right.
And I told the lady that chased it for their debts, she prints up a report and puts notes on the file. I said, no, I want them in the computer. I want to go and pick up
That's right.
all
And so,
You do it straight in the reports, like on the actual figures, you just go add a note.
Yeah, it's a good trend, the brain, isn't it?
there's some notes there around. Oh, I just deleted it. Oops. That's gone. The get started has something. Oh, there you go. View more help for expected date. You can go in there and have a look at some tips that Xero has around expected dates. So you can see expected date there. If we go to the summary, it then updates this as well. So if you put that the due date was X, but now it's Y, it's actually going to change this money coming in. So that reflects the due date that you put on the invoice or the expected date. If you actually go and find that client in contacts, was it Marine, wasn't it? Receivables due 396. The notes are on that client's folder. From our invoice, client promised it on the 25th of the 11th. You can see here that there's an outstanding report. There's view their report. That's what they owe you. You can also see the activity over the last 12 months for that client as well. Yeah. So this shows the money in and out to that particular supplier. So but then it actually allows you to go to that particular invoice that was promised.
Yeah.
So on that invoice, there it is, and there's the note client promised to pay.
And you can print that, and you can print that.
Yep, all from there. Add more notes.
Very quick.
Didn't receive. Have now moved to debt collector. And the expected payment date, debt collector said he's promised to have it by the 31st. Boom, there's another note. And again, these things all help when if you're dealing in larger debtors and things like that. Anyway, so I'll go back to accounts payable. So I forgot to mention you can put the notes on receivables as well as payables. But now let me show you another funky thing in Xero. So, schedule payments. You can tick which ones in bulk if you want to schedule. So rather than doing plan there, you can go tick, tick, tick. They're all going to be paid on the 29th. Makes it very easy to do it in multiple. Or you can print them all out. However, this is what's pretty. Let's decide that you decided today that that one are all going to be paid. Batch payment. That's correct, 7 items to pay. You're going to pay them today out of your ANZ account. Today. And remember I said on their contact card you have their bank account details? Yep. They've all got their bank account details. You click make payments. What it's done is it's created a couple of things. One, it's created a batch file, okay, which you can download to your desktop. It's saying there's some missing bank files.
I actually do this to mine
now. Yeah. You complete the export. It gives you an ABA file. You then upload that to your NetBank, and then you go import payroll file, import, because you can do this for payroll as well. The import file, it then puts the amount and the BSB and account number, so hence why it's important to have it up to date in Xero. Pay. So if you're paying 50 transactions, you can pay 50 transactions through NetBank in about 3 minutes. When I when I first started doing the work at Northmead Bowling Club, when I first started,
It's
yeah.
a quarter of the time.
Well, Northmead Bowling Club, when I first started in April last year, they were writing cheques for everything, and they used to write 50 cheques a week to suppliers and all that sort of stuff. Done by the lady, countersigned by the treasurer, sent out. I just came in and had a heart attack and just went, well, we're going to change that. We're going to get you combies, so you've got a token. And we set them all up. All the suppliers have things they choose now. And there was no control over who got paid when. You know, it was basically the first 50 got paid. Now they pay based on due dates because they've got them here in Xero. They tick based on the due date, generate the batch file. It gets uploaded by the admin lady to Combis, and then the treasurer just gets a notification he's got to go and approve them. He just goes in and clicks approve. So it used to take 5 minutes a check. 50 checks, 5 minutes, 250 minutes a week to do it. Now it takes 3 minutes to do.
Even the ABO file on my is a lot more complicated to do.
Yeah, that's really easy. So what it's done, it's created the file, and you would save that to your desktop and whatever. It's also, it has ticked off each one of those accounts payables. It has created an unreconciled transaction in bank. But what happens is when you upload this to your internet banking, what comes out of internet banking is it does it as a multiple. So whether you've chosen 1 or whether you've done 50, one amount comes out of your bank statement line, and that matches up automatically in your Xero bank feed.
So say you did an EFT and you didn't actually put it through
batch pay and stuff like that.
That will just show there's no reconciled transaction on that day.
Yep, and then you just match it up.
You just match it up.
Yep. That's okay. The other thing it does, it now allows you to send a nice little remittance to all of those people. If they've all got email addresses, hi, we've just paid, you can customise that. It sends the same to all of them, but you can tick who it's going to go to. Yeah, we paid your bill. Boom.
Does the whole lot.
Does the whole lot.
Yeah.
So you could pay 50 people, send out 50 remittance emails in the space of about 3 minutes.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was an email. Yeah, so wherever that email is, yeah.
So I never know all the stuff that comes in the mail for me. I can wait for months. Yeah,
that's right. So I think that again, it's just reducing the time it takes to do these things. And again, you hear so many stories where people are standing in the line at the airport waiting to catch a plane. They're doing invoicing to clients. I was away last year in March, just after putting Northmead onto Xero, and there was a problem with our setup, and I'd put in the wrong figures. So fortunately, I was able to, from Brisbane, log in via my iPad and re-key all that data so that they could keep going. Otherwise, I would have had to have come back from Brisbane, literally to come back and fix it if it was mild. So you hear so many stories. And so that creates that batch payment waiting to be ticked off. And I think that, and so it's whether you batch pay 1 or whether you batch pay 4, whether you batch pay 5, doesn't matter. You can still have that. So that's customer suppliers, accounts receivable, accounts payable, expense claims. So I'm going to run through quickly on expense claims. Expense claims is really useful if you're having running a petty cash. You can run it through there. If you have people getting expense claims from you, they can actually either use Receipt Bank or the iPhone Xero Touch, take photos of their receipts and generate an expense claim from it.
So my guy has got a credit card and he takes clients out for a coffee. He just has to photograph his receipt.
Yeah, if it's not a business credit card, if he's got a business one issued from you, you can link that on you can link it on Xero.
Right.
But if he's say paid $50 cash out of his own pocket and he wants that money back, he can take a photo of it, submit an expense claim off his phone. It comes through on here waiting for authorization. You authorize it.
Right.
It then creates an accounts payable, and then you pay that accounts payable to him, and then it matches it up.
Oh, okay. So you set him up an account.
Yep.
Okay.
So add receipt, and this add receipt is either going to be through So receipt was from Jake. It was done on the 13th of November. Reference coffee, $22. Prescription coffee. Client.
So then they don't have to give you the receipts at all, because you've got your.
If they've taken a photo, yep. If they've taken a entertainment. Consultant was Odette. So that's
We've got
what
so many
Odette.
managers who go and spend money on us, and they lose their receipts and they've got big problems with head office, they won't pay them.
That's right.
I'm going to tell them.
That's right. So you save that $22 now. If they have submitted it via Xero Touch, the receipt would be, so what if they've submitted this via Xero Touch or Receipt Bank, this would be sitting here just as waiting approval, and you would actually open it up, and sitting right here would be a copy of that invoice. Okay, and then pay that. What happens here is then whoever is responsible for approving those to be paid back to the employees goes, I'm going to submit that for approval. Not yet. It's now submitted for approval, so it's awaiting authorisation. So it's a bit of a double step, and that's that 22 there. And it can now be approved or declined. So actually, you know what? No, I'm not going to pay that back. I told you not to credit that client out because he owes us money.
Yeah.
So that's on your own back. If you can't get that money back from him, if you can't get that $45,000 that he owes, I'm not going to give you $22 to take him out for coffee. That was the intention of going to coffee with him, was to get that $45,000 check. So you know what? You're not getting it. Declined. It then approves it. It's now been approved, and you can you then go down here and you put the payment date. So you've agreed to pay by the 30th. Choose the reporting date. It's generally the same day, and you authorise it. What happens then is it's now awaiting payment. So we go back to the dashboard. It's now sitting here awaiting payment. When you're ready to pay that amount on the 30th, you just go into.
That makes sense, because you don't want to pay everything.
That's right. You just, gives you snapshots.
I've got something there where I payment.
Yeah. And so what happens here is there is an expense claim report you could print. That would actually have copies then behind it of all of the receipts exactly. But this is the only. It's funny though. This is the only one that you have to manually pay. So you would then put amount paid 22. They're improving this again, but at the moment this is where it's at. Date paid 30th.
Voice recognition.
It's probably coming.
If you sat there up with a client, like as a supplier, you would be able to automate that payment.
Not for expense claims. Probably, I reckon, Dave, another half an hour at the most. Half an hour. No, Jenny's getting into the good bit now. You have to wait. So that's expense claims. Very straightforward. If you want to run expense claims, we just help you configure it. Pretty straightforward. But it makes it nice and easy to track that, particularly if you've got lots of staff. There are other ways to do it. You could run accounts receivable, accounts payables against particular staff members. You can do it that way. But this is a nice, easy way to make sure you get the receipts using the Xero Touch app, which is free. They just link it to your Xero. All they can see is expense claims. So it's expense claims. Okay. Bank recs. As I said before, this is what makes Xero Xero, and this is what makes it very different from the rest. So Xero can link to over 5,000 banks around the world. 5 different banks, and then whatever accounts are in that bank account. And you can have as many as you like. I've got one client with 11 different bank accounts. And they're all on here, and they all get reconciled. You can link credit cards, you can link PayPals, and you can link bank accounts. Term deposits, all those sorts of things can also be linked in there as well. If it's got a BSB and account number, generally you can get it. It's very easy to set them up, but once they're set up, every day it's just going to tell you, go back, every day it's going to tell you how many reconciled items you need to do. And quite simply, as I said before, on the left-hand side, this is what comes from the bank on a daily basis, and on the right-hand side, this is where we match it up. So what I'm actually going to go back to is Northmead. So you can see with Northmead, we've got the CBA account, we've got the online saver account. So let's go into there. There you go. So what I've got here is a function for 220. I'm actually going to ring them today and go, you haven't put the invoice in for 220 yet. How did he get the invoice? How did he know what to pay off? So for me as the accountant, I'm going, you haven't done your accounts receivable properly. Where have you generated that invoice from? So that's, that's a big brother who's watching. This actually isn't the right, this is an example, a good example of it's not always right. I know that this flexi rent isn't a payment for New South Wales poker machines. I know this flexi rent is actually, those buzzers when you go to the bistro, that's what that is. It's not that. So you wouldn't click OK. So it's an example of how Xero doesn't do it for you, it just helps you. If you click OK now, it's going to pay off that New South Wales poker machines. And the problem with that is then if they're tracking their accounts payable via Xero, according to Xero, they don't owe New South Wales poker machines anymore. But New South Wales poker machines in 30 days will send an invoice going, where's our money? And then we can track back and find out. We can then see that it was actually allocated against flexi rent. Oh, okay, it's been done wrong and we can go and change it later. And it would also show who did it. I had a client ring up yesterday and say, someone's changed something in Xero. Well, okay, let me have a look. And it was one of the other staff members, one of the girls, because it said Domarino has edited this transaction. I said, Domarino, what did you do? She's looking at me going, oh, I said, you changed your client's file. It's live. You've got to be careful, but we can see. So this is what happens. There were some checks that were drawn. So Host Plus, Super. So I'm actually right now doing some work. TJ Andrews, there's an invoice that was generated for TJ Andrews. There's an invoice. Daily takings we generate at the moment. We're just about to go and really improve the point of sale through there. It's all going to be linked on a daily basis. At the moment, they generate a weekly invoice, a repeating invoice in Xero with all the takings, credit cards, poker machine, gaming, and all that. We do all that. However, this is where it starts to get interesting. Yeah, it's fine. Rules. So as I said, when something comes into Xero, it goes through a 4-stage process. It looks for accounts payable, accounts receivable invoice, whether it's there waiting to be paid. If it can't find that, it looks for what's called a rule. And these are rules, okay? So what happens is I've set up rules in Northmead that when it sees customers limited, it applies the rule, and the details of that rule are that it puts the amount to this account with no GST, okay? And the reason why I've created a rule against that one is because it's not a sale, it's just a transfer of money. That's their ATM, okay? It's a clearing ATM. And I've got another one, credit card and clearing account. So the point of sale, in and out. So it's actually not a sale, it's just a transfer of money, right? But the beauty of it is, if I go to the next page, you can see almost most of the transactions have got rules against them. We've just done the month-end accounts. But at one stage, there were 10 pages to be reconciled 2 days ago. They all had rules against them. So the 10 pages, the 10 transactions, the 100 transactions, each of them had a rule. Each one in mild, or what used to be in QuickBooks, I used to have to go in and enter it in manually, reconcile, pay. I just go click, 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 click. So I know that Aristocrat is the lease of the poker machines. I know it's been set up. Sky Channel is Sky Channel. Merchant fees, I've set the rule up. That, it goes to bank fees, merchant fees, got GST on it. The description is Commonwealth Bank, and but I don't have to do this. You don't have to go in and do this. You've set the rule up. You know what these rules are. And it gets the rules are foolproof in terms of if you set it up to go with this account number and this GST code, it will always do it. It doesn't pick and choose when it does it right. And obviously then, that's right. You can see there's TUIs, click there, that's been paid. So I've actually now gone in. I'm not going to tick that because that's not right. But literally, where are we now? It's the 16th. I've got 8 transactions in Northmead Bowling Club's accounts to keep up to date. It's real time. The club's been able to run its business in real time. Create a rule. I'll just show you, Jenny. I'll go back to the demo before you jump out. So it looks for accounts payable, receivable, looks for a matching rule. If it can't find a rule, it looks to the past. Xero is a learning program. This is what's really scary. It's gone. It's basically gone, you know what? Every time we see Melrose Parking come in here, you're always putting it to motor vehicle expenses, and you're always putting that description, and you're always putting GST on it. And in this case, it's always Odette Garrett as the consultant. You know what? Let's take a stab at this. Is that correct?
How often have you done it on your bank statement? I had to have done that now.
And they're going, so Xero's gone, well, you know, is that right?
Yeah.
And you go, well, actually, you know what? Yeah, it is. Boom, it's done.
We separate out all our vehicles, all our trading vehicles. So we'll do a thing to Caltex, but we won't separate it into
These guys speak to MotorPass and all those fuel places. Oh, we can get linkings into those sorts of things as well.
So you can have a fuel business, right?
Yeah. Sort of. I know what you're talking about, but that, yeah, we can discuss that.
Yeah, definitely.
And the last thing is creating a rule. Very, very straightforward. So it learns. As you saw, it learns. Very scary. And let's say that and then you realise that Cooper Street Bakery is becoming a regular transaction. So you have the option here that if it's a one-off, there's no accounts receivable, no accounts payable, no rule, no scary algorithm that remembers what you've done in the past. You go, actually, it should just be Cooper Street. It was staff amenities. This is a spend money, basically.
Office expenses.
That'll do. Printing. You don't have to have a description. You don't have. Once that OK comes up, it's ready to allocate.
Oh, I see. So what you're saying, as much as you don't have to spend money, you can use it this way.
Yep. You know, there's no GST. You can add more detail. If you needed to split that up amongst 4 or 5 lines, you can add it in there, right? However, if it becomes a regular thing, if you know that Cooper Street's becoming regular, I've got a client that always goes to McDonald's. So even though I'm not going to let him deduct it, I've set up a rule because it's silly not to. So what you do is I should go back. So again, the part of spending a little bit of time at the start is create the rule. You always change it to any. The pay you always make it, you dumb it down. Pay contains Cooper Street. Description you might put contains Cooper Street as well. And the contact will be, it's always any contains. If you've made it too specific, which you can do, it looks for something very specific. It can be an existing contact. That it's going to add that contact automatically. You can allocate percentages based on fixed lines, or you can just put the balance. So it's going there, GST, don't consultant. The reference will be set from the reference. You run it on the ANZ account, there's the title, save that. And if I've got it right, if we go back to the actual reconciliation, boom, there's the rule. But the beauty of it is, if you've done it the first time, there's another Cooper Street. Now it's done. We could set the same one up for City Central, and that's going to go forward and look for everyone that's got that going forward. It doesn't go backwards, obviously, if you've already allocated it. There's another learning one, bank fee. It's always, pick that up. And so by the time I finish with Northmead, really now there's about 2 transactions a month out of the 300 or 400 that have to be allocated manually. And the time saving, when we first took over in April last year, it was 3 days to do end of month. Now it takes 3 hours just to get the end of month done. And now my time and my fee that we charge is all about analysing and interpreting results. So it just completely changes, what we do. So there you go. So we'll be in contact about coming up to Queensland to install, and
oh, lovely.
But I'm generally the one that does the travelling for installations.
I'm sure you're going to be busy. I'm sure I can do it. It's fine.
I might have to go to Perth soon, so that'll be fun. So, thanks, Jenny. So you will be in touch. It's very good. So we'll send you the video for the rest.
The only thing is, I need to find a service program that will top it.
We'll find it.
I'm sure there is one.
Yeah.
But that also provides training.
Oh, as in,
or whether it be video or whatever.
yeah, we can do that and they can do that as well. So we might remote log in again to your service program and I'll find the one that's going to be the best match for that. Okay, so we'll follow up. Thanks, Jenny. So that's bank rec and rules. Very, very straightforward. So really what's left is payroll, reporting and budgets. I'll skip over payroll right now. Reports, as it sounds. Reports, they're all your standard reports. So you've got here your activity statement report for your BAS, you've got your P&Ls, you've got your balance sheet in there somewhere. There's your balance sheet, payables, receivables, some detail reports, supplier reports, there's customer reports in there, pay run reports, and essentially bank reconciliation reports. Essentially, you can star them, and then it shows up as a favourite. So income by contact is now favourite there that I just started. If we decide that you want to have the executive summary, which is actually a nice little report, it's now there. I'll show you the executive summary. Nice little management report, summaries and ratios, whether it's of use to the business or not. You know, there you go. It does have a budget manager, which is really, really good. So you can have a budget for any period you like built in. You can have an overall budget, or you can create a new budget for a specific thing within the business, which for North Media was great. We've got an overall budget, and then all the different departments within there have a budget, and we can track it. You then do the reports, budget variance, shows you how far you've gone to budget, how far you've got to go to budget, and then, you know, as you're going along, you go, well, actually, the bar's not going to turn over that much. We need to bring our expectation down. So it's just because the data's all live now, you know, all these things are happening live. You know, you can export it out into Excel, manipulate and bring it back in. So the budget manager is really good. Those say reports, they're all there. It's just a case of looking through what you know, are going to use. In terms of activity statement, this is the BAS. So depending on your configuration and the period you put in, it'll pre-fill. So if you've got monthly PAYG and you put in a date of October, it knows that that's not a GST period, so it's actually an IAS. Payroll, in about 2 months, we'll start pre-filling W1 and W2 from the payroll program if you're running it, which is included in the price. It was doing it when they first brought it into Xero, but it was getting it wrong sometimes, so they disconnected it. They couldn't figure it out, and they took it off. They thought, let's not get that wrong. Let's just let you get the report and fill it in manually. Unlike my old BAS link, there's no having to select which accounts belong where and all that stuff. They've done all that. My old BAS link used to have to go, you know, this account belongs to this, you know, it's all there. But let me show you the GST one. So don't jump, Jenny.
I don't actually do that.
And if we go and change that, so I've changed it to the BAS report. As you see, it's pre-filled G1, G11, G10 based on the data. So W1, W2 you need to put in, but it does remember it.
When are you going to Brisbane? When are you?
Oh,
are you going?
but if she wants it in there, I might have to fly up there and train and integrate.
Okay, because then you'll need to go to our head office.
Okay.
She's enabled therapy, and it's a nightmare with all my conditions. We've got 300.
I'll sort that in about 10 minutes. But, I mean, to be honest, you know, that's what we do. You know, this is very small in terms of, you know, my focus in general is enterprise, and end-to-end and big business and driving technology and efficiency through using Xero and all the add-ons. Like what we're doing in NorthMe, what we're doing in NorthMe with all of the cloud, we're going to roll it out to all registered clubs in New South Wales as a product. I'm spending a lot of time on that, so yeah, if I'm happy to go up there and have a chat to them. So here's the BAS. It's got, you know, you can put in the if you've got pair wage instalments. It does remember. If you put that figure in there from the BAS report for W1, W2, it remembers it. It saves it in there. It's got the GST worksheet, you know, just so you can work it out if you use that. But it's also got an audit report, just like the MYOB cash detail report. Shows you the transaction, the GST, and if I click on wide view, we can see them all. So all the transactions are there, under their relevant codes, how it's all worked out, GST on capital, GST exempt. And the beauty of it is when you publish this report, just creates a lock of that particular BAS. So it's now a PDF, it's sitting there. If you change your file or something like that, that's fine. We do reconciliations at year end to pick up any missed GST. But if you get an audit, at least you know this was the BAS that was lodged, and here's the PDF that had the detail that was contained in that BAS, so the ATO can get that and see all the detail that was in there. So it's really, really easy to do the BAS. The other part with the BASs is within the next 12 months, maybe 18 months. I don't know if anyone's heard of standard business reporting. Basically, standard business reporting is a lot of programs already do it. The bigger ones don't. Xero, Mile, QuickBooks. It'll allow you to lodge your BAS direct to the ATO through your software.
Wow.
So it's called SBR. You basically click a button, lodge with the ATO. There it goes. Makes our job redundant. What do we do? But again, that's why we're looking, in all honesty, we have to change the way we do things because the compliance is getting taken away. We need to be making sure that we're getting out and seeing clients, advising them, helping them run their business, because these tools here allow you to run your business. As long as you're comfortable and you've set it up properly, your GST is going to be right. You don't need us to come in and review it, and all that sort of stuff. So, and we much prefer you to be doing that yourself, spending the same money on our services, but us being integrating with you in your business and helping you grow your business. So, standard business reporting, and not only BASs, but income tax returns. So if you have a company or a trust or a partnership and it's set up properly in Xero, when SBR comes in, you'll be able to lodge it direct out of Xero. So again, we're very mindful of that, because if someone is really confident, they could do their own thing all in Xero without the need of an accountant at all. Obviously then, that's where our tax planning and all that sort of stuff, all our skill sets there come into play. But some people don't believe in that. They just believe in paying what the profit is, and off the record, that's pretty silly, but if they don't look at legally minimising their tax, but there will be some people that do that, and that's what Xero is going to provide. So
I'm going to be a bit domestic here, really simple. I've got to manage a business and I've got to manage a household. And so this is fantastic for me to do the household and the business, but I don't want anyone to see my household. I want you to see my business. So when you're looking at my expenditure and how I'm managing my accounts, can I keep that private for what I do in my home?
So when you say manage your household, what are you going to link to Xero that's household related? So you'll only link to Xero your business accounts and everything related to your legal structure for business. So you wouldn't link to Xero your personal check accounts and your personal credit cards and things like that, because that doesn't affect your tax. So the only thing you should link to Xero is what's going to affect you for tax.
Are they mixed? It's your personal
I've separated since I spoke with David, but I want to be able to manage it myself, because I'm a single mum and my ex-husband wants to see what's being spent because we're doing a good partner.
So one thing that would be benefit of you is not using Xero Business for your business, is using Xero Personal for your personal. And it works on separate account, works on the same proviso, allows you to build budgets, all for personal expenditure, all those sorts of things. Live bank feeds are coming, and it's a personal manager.
So that means I've got to pay for two.
No, Xero Personal just like $5 a month or so. It's not that expensive. So you wouldn't run. I definitely wouldn't recommend having any personal accounts against you, because what happens is then coming into the year we have to split it. And then that increases the cost of our fees to get it apart. So you would run Xero Personal if you need to have your personal accounts running through something like this to help you manage it, and again, showing ex-husband what you're spending and all that for child support purposes. But in terms of business related, you'd have the Xero we've got in there right now purely related to your business transactions. The only thing that you would see which is personal is the amount you're taking out to live on. And the rule of thumb or the best practice is, whether you're a sole trader or company, it doesn't really matter what it is, you take one lump sum to your personal account, and that's where you pay for your personal expenditure, rather than using a business account to pay for personal and allocating it to your loan account. It just becomes hard. It's just more work to do. So, but Xero Personal is a good one. So have a look, and you can link it. So you'd have one login, and you'd see Michelin Jamal Business and Xero Personal.
Yeah.
So it makes it very easy to see both.
That would be good, because I don't want to be looking at two different pages.
The other thing is, between the personal and the business Xero, you know how you can do the 0 to 0, you know, sending things backwards and forwards. Can you do that?
I don't think so, because Xero Personal is actually built on a completely different platform. So once it's linked, it's a different platform around
That's
that.
why I felt it was good to have the two things running within the same one, because.
Yeah, you could. We would see everything.
Yeah.
There is no way to split that up. And I can guarantee you that they're definitely not going to allow that sort of split up. That's what they're saying is Xero Business is for business and Xero Personal is for Xero Personal. So it'll still be the same login. It'll just be like this up the top here.
But I think if I can see the two at the same time, that would be really good.
Yeah, well you can. You just open up two browsers.
Okay.
Have them sitting side by side to each other.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Or maybe on the iPad you can't split them in. Or you can. Oh no, you can get an iPad app which allows you to split your screen.
Okay.
Yeah. So not an Apple app, but just an app in general. But yeah, so that Xero Business should relate purely to business, just to keep it separate. So yeah, so that's reports. Again, there's lots and lots of reports in there, all different things. There's all different ways to get into reports. You can actually be in your P&L, you know, showing you month by month, and you might decide you want to look at what's gone out of you know, motor vehicle expenses. Okay, you can add a summary in there, but you're not looking at that. But you know, you can print a report there that's showing you all those transactions. You can see, you know, the budgets. Back to standard view. You can be looking at graphs. Make just movement graphs basically. So again, the thing with reports is just having a look what's in there. Okay. Budgets we just spoke about. It's playing around with it. You put the figures in. The good thing about the budget manager is it's a bit like Excel. If you put in, say, sales is going to be 50,000, and you click on that little button there, you can say it's going to be 50 each month. You can say your budget is to increase sales by 1,000 each month. You can say that each month it's going to go up by 10%. And then you click 10 there, click apply, and now across the board it's going up by 10% each month. So it's allowing you to do those sorts of things, and it happens across the board. You know, expenses. If you know you've got a fixed cost of accounting, it's $5 a month. You can put it at 400 there, and say that apply this amount each month, and it'll put it across. Same with entertainment, things like that. And so you can export that into Excel, Google Docs, or CSV. Excel, you can manipulate it more if you want to. So that's basically everything in Xero except payroll. Okay. Xero Payroll is the easiest payroll program I've ever used, which is good. So it's set up. There we go. Settings for payroll. This is where you start. You link up your accounts, PAYG, super expense, wages expense. This allows you to have tracking categories against payroll. It asks how many days in your payroll year. 365 days is 52.14 weeks. 364 days is 52 weeks. It does make a difference, as we saw when Chantel started. Cut off $1.05 of pay.
You still owe me a cheeseburger.
I do owe you a cheeseburger. It's $2. That's right. Yeah, you wouldn't forget. You set up the pay slips, so you can put your logo on there, and you can decide to show what their employment basis is, which is what you do in the employee section. You can choose your logo. Default, it's a Xero logo. I'll just tell you, actually, this is the first time it happens. Just so you know, it's a web browser. So you have to save before you move forward, otherwise you'll lose the changes. So stay and save if you make a change. And it'll always prompt you though, it won't just lose it. Pay items, this is where you can put in everything. You know, we've got North Bay Bowling Club and the restaurant over there, awards galore. They've got to be entered in manually, bit of a pain, but they need to be entered in, but then you can set it up, different award rates and all that stuff. If someone's just on the salary, very straightforward. You just go add earnings rate, annual salary, it's fixed. Oh, sorry, it's a fixed rate, you can just put hours. Rate per unit, you can just put $40,000. Is an allowance? No. Is it exempt from PAYG? No. Is it exempt from superannuation guarantee? No. So now there's annual salary. Okay. You don't even need a rate per unit actually. So I'll show you what that does. Then you can have deductions, different types of deductions, pre and post super, etc., etc. Oh no, sorry, no, not super in there. That's in there. Different to mile. Reimbursements. If you're reimbursing things not through the expense claims for employees, and leave, typical leaves, annual leave, personal carers leave, paid parental leave or unpaid parental leave, you've got those. Calendars, you have to choose different calendars. So some businesses have employees paid weekly and fortnightly. Here we've got weekly and monthly. Some might be all weekly. Some you set that calendar up. And then superannuation. This is probably more beneficial for Jenny, but if you want to, you can pay your superannuation direct through Xero. You've got to use the large version of that, but for you guys, obviously not going to have more than 20 employees, so it's probably not worth it.
Me, myself, and I think.
Yep. Yeah. So it makes it easy. We've started using, for anyone that's got less than 20 employees, the Medicare Clearinghouse. So basically you set up all of the employees' details in the Medicare Clearinghouse. You tell the Medicare Clearinghouse, these are the employee funds, this is the amount that needs to be paid, one transfer into the Medicare Clearinghouse, they make the payments to the funds.
Wow.
It's fantastic. It's the most underutilised government service. It's the best government service I've ever come across. I don't know why it's only 20. It should be for any size, really. If they want to make sure people pay their super and make it easy. Because if you've got a payroll with 50 employees of all the different funds, it's going to make it hard. You might as well use the Medicare Clearinghouse, but they're just limited to 20. But basically, you add a fund. These are all actually regulated funds. There's all sorts. Your asset supers in there, Australian super, your CBUS and all that. Then you choose the one it belongs to. You can put your employer number in. It's got the relevant number. This SPIN number and employer number is really only beneficial if you're doing that automatic payment, but otherwise it's there. So they're the settings for payroll. There's only a couple, as you can see. And then under the payroll section, there's a few things. We've done the defaults. We'll add an employee in a minute, and there's a guide. There's actually a training course as well you can do through Xero. It's a free webinar if you want to do a bit more. We'll go that. So when you come into your Xero overview, a couple of things. It shows your previous pay runs, pending leave applications. Again, Jenny would like this. Again, for yourselves, small things. You can give your employees access to Xero's payroll, which shows them their own little portal, allows them to update their own addresses, their own contact details, all that. Also allows them to request leave directly through this program, and it comes up as a pending leave application or leave. It comes up as leave awaiting to be approved when you come into there. But it's also reminding you that James LeBron, obviously on holidays from Miami Heat basketball team, that he's got annual leave on a long weekend on the 8th of June. And Sally Martin, same thing. She's taking a day off, mental health day. Oh, so those pending ones, they're waiting to be approved, sorry. And upcoming leave is telling you you've approved it, and that's coming up to get you. So if you wanted to pend a leave, you can then, if you want to approve one, you come into it. It's been requested by the employee. You just go into there and you go, okay, that's fine, it's approved. It's now sitting there. When you get to that pay run, and you run that pay run for that week, it's automatically there. So it's set and forget, really. But let's just quickly look at the employees sections. So add an employee, it's pretty straightforward, but when you add an employee, you get this screen here. You don't have any of these tabs yet, so you put in their name, title, email address, because you can email directly out of here, their payslips, postal address. You would hit save, then all of this would then pop up. One of these ones, employment. So you can give them a classification. You choose the calendar, are they paid weekly or fortnightly? If they're involved in a group, you choose a group. You choose their earnings rate, annual salary or ordinary hours. You choose their super fund. So you add a super fund. You might actually belong to two. And there's his account number. Just like that. Tax declaration. Again, it's trying to sort of keep it based on what your TFN decks are, Australian resident, tax-free, HEX or health debt, can or cannot receive leave loading, blah, 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 full-time, part-time, blah, blah, blah. So ahead, we'll help you set it up. It's one of those things that's quite specific. Once it's set up, it's easy. Leave, their leave balances. This is where you put all leave applications in. So add leave, leave type, annual leave, title, and the dates. We're going to go on this day. So that day, the hours is 5 and 10, whatever. Bank accounts, you can split it. They want 10 different accounts, fine, because at the end of the payroll you can download an ABA file and upload it into your internet banking. Had an awesome thing about that happening last night with a client. Didn't authorise the wrong one, they did, and paid all their staff the wrong amounts. Anyway, and then there's a pay template. This is where you set up their template. So if they're on annual salary, they work 38 hours a week, you're on an annual salary of 40,000, they've got a union fee of 10, they're getting 9% super, they're also paying $50 a month extra into salary sacrifice, they're getting their standard annual leave accruals. Save that, every time you run the payroll, that's there. So particularly for you, Michelle, if you're drawing a regular salary, are you in a company structure?
No,
No,
I'm
sole
on a
trader.
commission structure.
Yeah, so for you this wouldn't even apply.
No.
So,
But then I do employ marketers or people like that to do certain little jobs for me.
employees or contractors?
Contractors.
Yeah, so this wouldn't apply, yeah. But once you've set it up, even if it's standard hours, someone works standard overtime, all those things, they can all be configured. You can obviously then, on the right here, you can create leave accruals, blah, blah, payment summaries at the end of the year, etc., etc. So that's the setup. Again, we can help you with that. The benefit, the beauty is this part. So add a pay run, select a pay period, it's fortnightly, it always picks the next one. 2 employees, that's their earnings, there's their net pay. If you know that that's correct, if it's a standard pay, post, it's done. Post the pay run, pay run options, download the ABA file, download it, upload it into banking, email the pay slips, there we go. He doesn't have one, so he can't get one, so that gets emailed. They've got their pay slip now. If it's wrong, you can go back to draft, and then there's all the reports. So that's what a pay slip looks like. Nice and clear, pay period commencing, starting, annual salary, what their basis is. This pay, deductions, tax, super, payment, where it went. And then there's some basic ones. So payroll summary, which is just like the MYOB activity summary, earnings, deductions, tax, debt, super pay. There's a detail one, which is just like my old payroll detail. So for a period, who was paid. And then there's one called journal, which if you had, this is old school when if you weren't using Xero, it used to be in a program called payroll, but it basically gives you the journal to manually enter into the system. But what you do is when you run a payroll, you create a draft invoice, and that draft invoice, what it does is it goes into accounts payable as a draft invoice, and it, when I get there, fortnightly payroll, you go into it, you approve it, so it's put in, that's your gross wages, deductions, tax, super payable, you hit approve, you make the payment to the employees, and then when the payment comes out of the bank account, it looks for that account as payable, matches it up, and away you go. In regards to super, then you can track, as I said, if you wanted to, you could be having super on your dashboard here. It's building up as a year to date, but then to be looking at super for the for the month or the quarter, so superannuation accruals, all employees for the last quarter, PDF. No, none, great. And it would say who the super fund name is, employer number that, and you just use that, print that out, fill out your contribution notices if you still do it manually and send it off. That's it. Payroll's a breeze, but we'll give you a bit of hand getting that set up. Because once it's set up, it's quite straightforward. Are your employees paid hourly or salary or?
I don't know how to start paying this year.
So we'll go through that with you in more detail separately. So that's payroll, and really that's about it in terms of the actual day-to-day operation. There's nothing else in Xero. So any questions specifically? From here, it's a case of getting it set up with the basics, customizing invoices and charts of accounts, importing any contacts or invoices for year to date. We can look at that. Current year transactions. We're going to help you with that directly. You can try it yourselves, but regardless, there'll be some follow-up coming in the next week or so, particularly with payroll. You're going to need some help with payroll. But that's what Chantel's going to be doing, is following up with you just to make sure things are going okay. That's the end. So I might close off our recording. Stop.